Thank you, Senator. Any other announcements or introductions?
What's up, folks? This is Kenny with Just the Right Angle, giving you a little
Madam
special
Secretary,
here.
are there
There is
items at the
supposed to
desk?
be an
Will your
important,
committee on engrossed bills, whom is referred Senate Bill 5 by Senator King, compare the engrossed copy of the original and find
regarding
same correctly
ivermectin?
engrossed.
Judiciary,
Committee on engrossed bills, whom is referred Senate Bill 6 by Senator King, compare the engrossed copy with the original and find same correctly engrossed.
Judiciary,
Will your committee on city, county, local, to whom was referred Senate Bill 345 by
There's other
Senator
bills
Irving,
in this, but
recommend
the
do
one I'm
pass.
focusing on is the one
Calendar.
regarding
Committee on city,
ivermectin.
county, local, to whom was referred Senate Bill 365 by Senator Bryant, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on City, County, Local, to whom was referred Senate Bill 374 by Senator Davis, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on Insurance and Commerce, to
We're
whom was
going through
referred
the morning
Senate Bill
routine,
276
but
by
eventually they
Senator
should get to
Blake
the
Johnson,
bills. And as you can
recommend do
see,
pass.
the
Calendar.
ivermectin bill
Committee on Insurance
is
Commerce,
on
to whom was
the
referred Senate Bill 309 by Senator Sullivan,
agenda.
recommend do pass.
It
calendar,
was passed out
Committee
of
on
committee
Insurance
real
Commerce, who was
easily.
referred Senate Bill 329 by Senator Boyd, do pass as amended number 1.
calendar,
Committee on City, County, Insurance and Commerce, to whom is referred House Bill 1184 by Representative Johnson, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on Insurance
Not sure
Commerce,
why
to
they
whom is
do when
referred
they
House
say
Bill
calendar. I think it's
1193 by
just
Representative Kavanaugh, recommend do pass as
a
amended number
specific
1.
type of
calendar,
Committee on
what
Insurance and Commerce, to whom is referred House Bill
do you
1238 by
call it,
Representative Kavanaugh, recommend do pass.
standard.
calendar,
Committee on Insurance and Commerce, to whom is referred House Bill 1307 by Representative Allen, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on Insurance and Commerce, to whom is referred House Bill 1309 by Representative Rose, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on Insurance and Commerce, to whom is referred House Bill 1415 by Representative Richardson, recommend do pass as amended
Calendar.
number 1. Committee on Insurance and Commerce, to whom is referred House Bill 1466 by Representative Archer, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on Joint Budget, to whom was referred Senate Bill 22 by Joint Budget, recommend do pass as amended number 1.
calendar,
Committee on Joint Budget, to whom was referred Senate Bill 64 by Joint Budget, recommend do pass.
calendar,
And I'm
Committee on
sending
Joint
this
Budget,
out
to
to
whom
other
was
people
referred
so they can
Senate Bill
watch in.
333 by Senator
This is a
Flowers,
live
recommend
stream
do
of the
pass.
Arkansas
Calendar.
Senate.
Committee on Joint Budget, to whom was referred Senate Bill
And I'm doing is
334
just
by
putting
Joint
a
Budget,
little way
recommend
where
do
folks can
pass.
do commentary.
calendar,
Committee on Joint Budget, to whom was referred
There
Senate
are
Bill
some other
335 by Joint Budget,
pieces of
recommend do pass.
legislation that are
Calendar.
being
Committee on Joint Budget, to whom was referred Senate Bill 336 by
debated.
Joint Budget, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on Joint Budget, to whom was referred Senate Bill 337 by Joint Budget, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred Senate Bill 299 by Senator Hammer, recommend do pass as amended number 1.
Calendar.
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred Senate Bill 343 by Senator Irving, recommend do pass as amended number 1.
calendar,
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred Senate Bill 344 by Senator Irving, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred Senate Bill 351 by Senator Dismayne, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred Senate Bill 353 by Senator Hester, recommend do pass as amended number 1.
calendar,
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred Senate Bill 370 by Senator Irving, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Committee on State Agencies, to whom was referred House Bill 1568 by Representative Childress, recommend do pass.
calendar,
Dear Mr. President Pro Tem, this is to inform you that on March 6, 2025, I reviewed and approved the following measures for the regular session of the 95th General Assembly. Senate Bill 48, Act 246, Senate Bill 226, Act 247.
So right
Senate
now
Bill
I'm sharing this with as
253,
many
Act
people. Like, share,
256,
and
Senate
comment
Bill
on this.
26,
I'm
Act
not sure
257,
when
Senate
it's
Bill
going to be proposed, and there is a
245, Act
possibility that it might be
258. Sincerely, Sarah
overrun.
Sanders,
It
Governor.
might be
File it.
skipped over or
Senate
pulled down at the end.
Resolution
That does
38
happen.
by
But it's been amended
Senator
4
Murdoch
times,
to recognize
so highly
March
unlikely
13, 2025 as
it's most likely
Iota
going to be debated.
Phi Theta
What we're hoping
Fraternity
for is that it'll
Incorporated
just be passed
Day at the
through,
State Capitol, Senate
and there won't be
Resolution
any
38.
calendar,
Senate Bill 396 by Senator Clark to amend the law
anger,
concerning
there won't be
hunting and
any,
fishing license and to authorize the Arkansas
attempts
State
to
Game and Fish
sabotage it
Commission to
or
issue to certain non-residents a
someone block
hunting
it.
or fishing license for the cost of a resident license. Senate Bill 396.
agriculture,
Senate Bill 397 by Senator
Just use
Wallace to
assigning
protect
other
the
bills to
confidential
various
personal
committees.
information of rail employers. employees
And
in
I don't know how
reports
long
involving railroad
that's going to go.
fatalities, Senate Bill 397.
This is how the sausage is made.
Transportation.
Senate Bill 398 by
People really
Senator
need to see
Tucker
this
to amend Arkansas
to know,
law
you know,
concerning initiated
what goes on.
petitions and referendum petitions, and to allow a cure period for insufficient submissions, Senate Bill 398.
State agencies.
Senate Bill 399 by Senator Stubblefield to create the Anti-ATF Commandeering Act and to prohibit the provision of material and aid and support for enforcement
Ooh,
of
an
federal firearms
anti-ATF
laws,
bill.
Senate Bill 399.
City, county, local.
Senate Bill 400 by Senator Irving to amend the Fair Funding Program, Senate Bill
That's
400.
an interesting thing.
Agriculture. Is there any further business to come before the body in the morning hour? If not, the morning hour has expired. We will now begin the business agenda, beginning with Senate Memorial Resolution 4.
Senate Memorial Resolution 4 by Senator Flowers to remember and honor the life, legacy, and impact of the Honorable Clifford Davis.
Senator Flowers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Governor. I'd like to ask for leave for the family of Judge L. Clifford Davis.
Okay, I'm posting this Truth Social. Eventually, I'll post the Gab.
Members, I'm glad to.
Let me see where they're at in the
really
agenda
honored
here.
And also
Like I said, they will
for
sometimes
Representative Tracy Steele.
bounce around.
I'm honored to present a Senate Memorial Resolution for a man of Arkansas.
So they may do
born
these
in
resolutions first and then go back to the regular.
1924 in Wilton, Arkansas, Little River County. And that man was L. Clifford Davis. This is his family here with me today. Judge Davis
So
passed.
this bill was just assigned to a committee. He'll show the later on.
Just 2 weeks ago, February 15th, 2025, at the age of 100 years. Judge Davis was born in October 1924, as I said. He was one of 7 children born to Augustus and Dora Davis. They owned a small farm there and rented additional land to cultivate. They taught their children Christian values, entrepreneurial mindset, and self-sufficiency. This memorial resolution is 5 pages long, and I'm not going to stand here and read the whole 5 pages to you, but you can imagine that someone who has lived 100 years had quite a life. But this was really special for Judge Davis because of his accomplishments, and I'll highlight some of them. He left Wilton, Arkansas because of restrictions on secondary education for Black Arkansans in Little River County.
A little while.
So his family rented a home here in Little Rock so that the children could attend a high school under the supervision of their aunt. And Judge Davis ultimately graduated.
So while we're listening to this, let me go ahead and until they get back onto the agenda, I'll also have closed caption. Here's that other piece of legislation. This is an anti-ATF commandeering act. And what it does is it prevents the ATF from being able to commandeer local law enforcement. By the way, Democrats ran most of these government systems here. So I don't know why, if you really are angry or upset about the way blacks are treated by our government, then you should be opposed to Democrats. Now, this is a bad bill that was another bill that was defeated. SB212. I think it's been defeated multiple times, and hopefully we put enough pressure on it to keep it from being out. There was another bill, SB309. It was basically no, wait, that's not it. There was some other bill regarding utilities that was defeated. For those that don't know, of course, ivermectin was lied about by our media. And if you want to see the committee on SB 189, you can go, let's see, where is it? It was yesterday. Now, they didn't have what's known as a roll call. I kind of wish they did. Here it is. Here's the video from yesterday. As a matter of fact, here, I'll just play this. Since I titled it for the SB 199. Let me stop that, and I'll play. This was in committee yesterday.
A large group of people are going to the ag store and buying ivermectin that's mixed and designed for animals, and have to be able to do the math calculations as to how much they should take versus being able to get just regular ivermectin that is made for people. Not that there's a difference in the drug itself, but it would be safer if they were using that was designed for human use. The words in the bill that are added to the law is ivermectin without prescription or consultation with healthcare professionals. As used in this section, over-the-counter medication means medication that may be legally sold and purchased without prescription. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, ivermectin suitable for human use may be sold or purchased as an over-the-counter medication in this state without a prescription or consultation with a healthcare professional. The first thing that's going to come up with a drug is safety. There was a study done from May of 2020 to December 2021. I didn't bring that one with me. That's 20 months. That was during COVID, of course. And 6 people in the world, not the United States, 6 people in the world were documented to have died from misuse of ivermectin. That's over a 20-month period, so that's 3.6 people per year in the world. Compare that to 55 people that they have admitted and documented have died from the COVID vaccine. There's many more, but that's how many we've admitted to. 500 that die in the U.S. from Tylenol each year, 3,000 that die from aspirin each year, and 16,000 that die from my favorite pain reliever, ibuprofen. So overall, it's not going to tell you there's not any danger to it, just like there's, because I wouldn't tell you there's not any danger to ibuprofen. But overall, it's being used, and it's being used safely. The study that I handed out to you is from the National Library of Medicine. Wanted that there. And what's both interesting and distressing to me is I knew about this study in 2021 in Argentina, even though our government and authorities said there were no studies that showed that ivermectin had any efficacy with COVID. I got to meet with representatives of Google a couple of weeks ago where they admitted that how they had censored results and and thankfully it cost them a lot of business. And so they're on an apology tour. And but it was distressing to me that all this information was blacked out. And keep in mind, this is a study, and it's one of many. You can read, and they'll talk about the other studies, and they were done not in the United States in places where they knew a vaccine would be available, but in places where they thought a vaccine might be available, and they were trying other things to see how they might help. And so just about 230 folks participated in this study, 117, I believe, in the experimental group, or 92 in the experimental group, 117 in the control group. 77% of these were healthcare workers who were working directly with COVID patients. And you will see here, now that we have this information available to us again, that if you turn to, it doesn't say page 4, but it's the 4th page, you'll have a little tag on it, that of the experimental group, those who took COVID once a week, mainly healthcare workers working with COVID patients, 4 got COVID, and all were mild cases. That's the graph up at the top. It's written in the words, but just picture's worth 1,000 words. Of the control group, 25 got COVID, 8 times as many. 15 were moderate, 7 were mild, 3 were severe. And I'm not pushing ivermectin for COVID. I'm not pushing ivermectin for anything. I'm just saying people are already using it. They're using it from ag stores rather than getting it from a pharmacy. The latter, I think we all agree, would be better. Already, you know what the doses is. You know, there's no math to try to mix it up. And I think I'm more trusting, I don't think I know, but I think it's the best way to put it.
Hi,
I'm
James.
more trusting of my
Nice to see you. Thanks for the comment on YouTube.
Constituents and friends' common sense than I am of the medical industry at the moment. And of the government, who told me that throughout COVID, in fact, even folks from local hospital called it horse paste.
Some of it,
there are probably all the things are people saying it worked for. Probably a lot of it doesn't do any good. It's like everything else that somebody thinks is a miracle drug, but it does a lot of good for some things, and it does very little harm. I'm not going to say it does no harm, because as I said, ibuprofen does harm, but be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I would just say broad brush, but I know several physicians that actually would agree with your assessment. So that's, speaking of one who did a ton of research, I think it's just want to be mindful of broad brushes, but I know I've spoken directly with physicians who prescribed a lot of different things to really help combat COVID. And at that time, and I think what you're saying is, I agree, and I'm supportive of your bill. I think at the time, what was really frustrating, not to relitigate what happened during COVID, but I think what was really, really challenging was there was no answer. And so there were medical doctors, because I saw it happen, that got out every pharmacology book, every medical book, sat down for hours, did online research, and to try to get exactly what that virus strain was, which was available online, and did the work. They did the hard work to come up with the cocktail, so to speak, of medications that they knew was going to try to help save their patients' lives, because nobody had an answer. And I saw that happen firsthand with so many doctors in the state that really just said, I got to throw it out. I mean, there's nothing to tell us how to treat this illness, but I got to treat my patients, and they did such excellent work, in my opinion, looking outside the box.
Here, since this was done before, I can pause this. I don't know they're going to do.
But Coach Dyer, as I said, invited him to come on as a basketball student manager at the University of Central Arkansas. So let's just say the rest is history. Scotty was not only two-time All-NAIA, and for those of you who don't know, that's the smaller colleges, but two-time All-NAIA, All-American. He was selected in the first round as the 5th overall pick in the NBA draft, and through the way they do trades, he ended up with the Chicago Bulls. I didn't know they were going to have I could probably say many times, the rest is history as well. During his career, he scored 18,940 points. Earned 6,135 assists and secured 2,307 steals. Now, I was thinking, Senator Dees, that, we've been allowed to use ringers sometimes in the Senate House basketball game, which we won, by the way, Scotty. But I think that might be a little bit overboard if we were to do that. But if they ever let us do it again, we'll call you. And I know that RJ will be upset because they'll want you to play for the House, but maybe one half on each team. Scottie Pippen also set Chicago Bulls record for the next most three-point baskets made at 664, for which he's still ranked in the top 5 and still holds the position for the 3rd highest rebounds recorded at 5,726. I could go on and on. I want you all to read the resolution for yourself. The two things I want to mention, and this, of course, endears him to me forever. Scotty was a member of the 92 and 96 Olympic team, the Dream Team. And that has to be the greatest basketball team ever to step on a court. And that was such a pleasure to all of us when NBA players were able to play. He's a member of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, twice actually, once for his own as an individual and as a member of the Dream Team. One of the things that I have always appreciated is that, we see Scotty as, he's a tall man and all that, but I will never forget in the playoff game, and those of you that saw it will remember it, when you dunked on Patrick Ewing. I think you got a tech for that, didn't you? Yeah. But here's 7-foot-tall Patrick Ewing. Scotty goes right in and dunks it in his face. So that was one of my favorite moments of basketball history, Scotty, when you did that. But I'm sorry you got the tech. Maybe it can. Scotty was featured in the popular 2020 10-part Netflix docuseries The Last Dance, which focused on the Chicago Bulls' dominance of baseball in the 1990s. And whereas on June 14th, 2021, the basketball court inside the University of Central Arkansas's Ferris Center was dedicated in Scottie Pippen's honor, and the court features his name and signature. I'm not going to read the quotes from Scotty because I'm going to let us, as soon as we pass the resolution, recognize him for a few words. So, Madam President, it is my honor to move the adoption. I wish we had gotten 2 numbers earlier. It could have been Senate Resolution 33, Scotty, but we got 2 off. But it is, please, I move the adoption of Senate Resolution 35.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. All those in favor of Senate Resolution 35 to recognize University of Central Arkansas and National Basketball Association star Scottie Pippen for his achievements and for his contributions to his community, the state of Arkansas, the nation, and the world, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Senate Resolution 35 is adopted.
Oh, that's nice.
Madam President, I ask for leave for Mr. Pippin to give a few remarks to the Senate.
Okay, if he's going to give some remarks, you don't need to see me.
Mr. Pippin, you are recognized.
Thank you. I just want to say just how honored I am for the resolution, for you guys allowing me to be in your presence today. But even more so, I'm honored to be from the state of Arkansas. And thank you guys for this day. Appreciate it.
Senate will be in recess for 1 minute because the presiding officer is going to come shake Mr. Pippin's hand. Well, I guess the Senate will come back to order. That was. Senate is back to order. We will now take up Senate bills with Senate amendments, beginning with Senator D's Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 303.
Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 303.
Senator D's, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My bill, my amendment.
All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Back on the agenda,
Any opposed?
I believe.
Ayes have it.
Amendment 2 to Senate Bill,
It looks like they're,
where am I, 303.
My bill, my amendment.
okay, they're
All
amending
those in
bills.
favor
I
of the
think they may
amendment,
go
please
back to the
signify by
agenda
saying aye.
afterwards.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendments 1 and 2 are adopted. Please send to engrossing. Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 313.
Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 313.
My bill, my amendment.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment is adopted. Please send to engrossing. Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 317.
Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 317.
Senator Johnson, you're recognized.
My bill, my amendment.
All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment is adopted. Please send to engrossing. Senator Dismang.
I thought you were doing House note.
Senator Dismang, you're recognized for a motion to withdraw Senate Bill 246 from education for purposes of amendment to adopt Amendment 1.
Make a motion to withdraw Senate Bill 246 from education for purpose of amendment.
All those in favor of the motion to withdraw, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 246.
This is the amendment. Change has been requested kind of throughout the process. We wanted to make sure that the bill was fully engrossed before we present it in committee on Monday.
You all have heard the amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment is adopted. Please send to engrossing. Amendment 2 to House Bill 1245.
Amendment 2 to House Bill 1245.
Senator Irvin, you're recognized.
My bill, my amendment that was requested through Senate floor debate. Thanks.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment is adopted.
I'll do it.
Please send to engrossing. Amendment 1 to House Bill 1465.
Amendment 1 to House Bill 1465.
Senator McKee, you're recognized.
On the amendment?
Correct.
My bill, my amendment.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment is adopted. Please send to engrossing. We will now take up Senate bills. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need to?
Okay, I think they're now going to take up Senate bills. I need to work on something, but I'll be right back.
Thank you, Madam Governor. Thank you, colleagues.
That's Ellen Clark.
We have in the West Gallery today, Hot Spring County Leadership Group here visiting the Capitol. Would y'all please give them a hand?
Bill. I need to take care of something, but y'all can watch this. So.
And I would like to introduce our doctor and nurse of the day, Dr. Jean Shelby, who works in practices in addiction medicine and public health. And also we met when I was his JP 30 years ago. And we also have nurse of the day from Sherwood, Lee Fazio, as RN. And if I didn't say Dr. Shelby was from Hot Springs, he is.
Senator Hickey.
Or be recognized for a motion.
Senator Hickey, you're recognized for a motion.
Members, I want to do this at the very beginning and while everybody's in here and while everybody's focused, because this is going to be as it relates to the energy bill. Also, I'm not blindsided. Senator Dismaying had a conversation with him and a discussion, so he does know that I'm about to do this, and he can weigh in as he pleases, of course, and I'll try to answer any questions. I'm going to start this by saying this. I'm sure that a lot of you all do remember the transformation bill, and I didn't enjoy that. But there was one thing that came out of that that is beneficial even for today. Because whenever we were going through that 20-something 100-page bill, we did not know what to do with the PSC because they were such a different entity and a different animal. Kept trying to figure it out, and actually in the end had our staff at Leg Audit to kind of research back some cases with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has actually had to define them in cases before, and they are, as odd as this is going to sound, they are actually a legislative and an executive agency. The words they use is it's a quasi-legislative and executive agency, so you can understand if you were put in that spot what that might lead to. But I tell you that because of the motion I'm about to make today, which makes me know that we have the authority to do this, at least in my mind. So my motion today, and again, is as it relates to Senate Bill 307, is that the Arkansas Senate requests that the PSC to give an analysis and recommend language in regards to SB 307 by this Monday, 9 a.m. March 10, 2025. These recommendations should include, but are not limited to, the following. First, how to best allow the CWIP, which will provide adequate protection to ratepayers while also providing the expediency to maintain and efficiently expand our energy generation. Number two, how to require definitions as to what should be considered as a strategic investment and allowed under this rider. Number 3, any recommendations on how to quickly determine the feasibility of projects and whether they are providing a positive cost benefit to the state of Arkansas. The next one, any recommendations on how to structure any additional aspects of the bill which the PSC may deem problematic. And the next thing right here that I'm going to add is this, and I would want this to be followed exactly, that we request Chairman Webb to establish and provide an environment in preparing this document in a way which is free from outside influence from the legislative branch, the executive branch, any utilities, any industry, or other party who may have a vested interest in this bill. Again, as I stated yesterday, and a lot of you all, we had a good debate. That's what this is about. I believe that this has the potential of one of the largest fiscal impacts, at least monetary for the whole state, that we've seen in years. And I believe that we need to give it its utmost importance. And this is an attempt to do that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Senator Gilmore, you're recognized, and Senator Hammer.
Oh, that's a crooked utilities bill.
Thank you, Madam Governor. Thank you, Senator, for taking my question.
Yes, sir.
So I think I support what you're trying to do here because I think at the end of the day, we all want good policy. My only concern, and maybe you can address it, is I chaired the Energy Committee 2 years ago for the last 2 years. And one of the things that is a result of that and working through some of the policy that I think led to this, candidly, was we had conversations with the PSC. And in those conversations, they were very clear to always say, we are policy takers, not policy makers. I know Chairman Webb has said those exact words. So with that, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the sense of we're asking them to weigh in on policy that at the end of the day, they're going to have to make decisions on. They're going to have to, parse through and understand and hold utilities accountable and look out for ratepayers. What is your thought in the sense that we are asking them to take a position on policy?
I hate to give you credit. That's a very great question. The way that I'm seeing this, of course, this is a directive by the Arkansas Senate. And as I said on the beginning, the one thing that I learned that's beneficial today is they are a legislative agency, quasi, of course, with the executive branch. So we're asking for these as recommendations. In the end, we all understand that the Senate, the House, and the governor are all the policymakers here, and we will direct it any way that we want to. I don't think that there's anybody in this room, Senator Dismang's probably closer than anyone, for sure, that understands the intricacies of all the utility business. And this is a entity that we've had in place for many, many years, that's what they've dealt with. They understand it all. They're able to probably pick through details, and I just think that because of them working for us, that we're asking for those recommendations, and yes, we could incorporate it into policy. In the end, it is our decision.
Okay. Follow up.
Excuse me.
You're recognized for a follow-up, Senator Gilmore.
Thank you, Madam Governor, and thank you, Senator. And again, I understand what you're trying to do, and I respect that. I think it's probably helpful with a weighty decision like this. Again, I would just strongly encourage all of us in the room to understand that we are asking them to take a position on policy, and then understand that with sending this over and requesting them to provide feedback, that we're doing it in a way that we're not trying to achieve a certain outcome. And so I hope that will be the case. I appreciate you stating that on the end of your motion, because I think that is very important. Because at the end of the day, you're right, they are a quasi-executive and legislative body, but the three commissioners sort of act as what I would say is administrative law judges, and they're supposed to be very much unbiased in how they look at issues like this and make decisions. So I hope that remains the case. Thank you, Senator.
That's a fair statement. Thank you, sir.
Senator Hammer, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Hickey, appreciate the intent of what you're doing. My question is, you're asking for this to be delivered to us by what date? Monday?
Monday, 9 a.m., also delivered to the House and the governor's office, because I think that would be the correct way to do it.
Okay, and so my question is, you've got a kind of lengthy list there, and I understand the time frame we're operating on with the rest of the time in the session. You feel that's going to be adequate time for them to get back everything you're asking for? Do you feel they already have some of it? It's just a matter of compiling it?
I think that they've actually been through the original draft that Senator Dismang went in and tried to rework, so they know that. I think they know this bill, and I think they know what's out there. So my answer to that would be yes, sir. The importance of this and what it means for Arkansas, I just think we're going to have to find that time. They may be down there on live stream right now chunking rocks at me, but I just think that, yes, sir, that should be adequate.
And the ultimatum, if they don't have it by 9 o'clock Monday morning, would be what?
Let's just not even go there until it happens.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Mark Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator Hickey, I want to thank you for bringing this motion. I'm just concerned about sometimes how quickly we go and how we skim over things. The last couple of days, I've gone back and researched some things related to the early 80s with the Grand Gulf decision, and a lot of people, including some of the utility people, had regrets about how that whole matter came down. And to in some ways, maybe to assure my colleague and friend, Senator Gilmore, I assume when you say recommendations, you're really asking them for analysis of what if this or opportunities to maybe make things better rather than just them just saying, here's what we think you ought to do. It's more of an analysis. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, sir, I would think so, but I also want to be, specific. I mean, again, I think everybody here, as I said, knows we're the policymakers in the end. It really doesn't matter, they can tell us whatever they think in the end. It's up to the votes of the Senate, House, and of course the governor to sign off on it. So if we want to call it analysis or recommendations, but also, would ask that they provide, if there's something, on how to do this, if they think that there's some specific language, that they would provide that specific language also within that analysis or recommendation, just so that if there's something very technical, that we'll be able to have a better grasp of it, and then we can look at it and either keep it or not keep it or add to it, whatever we want to do.
But expand our knowledge to make the right decision. Would you
Yes,
agree?
sir. Yes, sir. That's what this is. That's what this attempt is about.
Great. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Boyd, you're recognized.
Just not sure what's different about the Public Service Commission. It's not the insurance commissioner or the medical board, or those not quasi-legislative / executive branches. And
that is not anything I've researched. The only thing that I remember is whenever we were doing that, we did allow the PSC to stand alone because they were actually an agency. So that may be what differentiates those between what you're talking about, is those may be boards or commissions, but what I'm saying is Supreme Court, and I believe it was in multiple cases, I'm sorry I can't quote those, had actually defined them as an agency itself.
okay, well, I appreciate the professional way in which you're bringing this, and I think it's constructive. I just do want to say for the record, I am concerned about that it's still setting a precedent regardless of that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Clark, you're recognized for a question.
Well, Senator, I didn't know anything about this, but I assume that you're asking for that quick timeline so as not to unnecessarily hold up a bill of a colleague.
Yes, sir. That would be correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Bryant, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Are we asking this of the PSC or the PSC commissioners? Because I'm learning that there's two separately behaving actors over there, and I'm just curious, which one are you asking this of?
Well, I'm going to say, since I put Chairman Webb in there to establish that environment, I think that it's going to be all-inclusive, because I believe the staff, of course, is going to operate with the commissioners themselves. However, as far as the technicalities and the way that this is, I would almost be assured that those attorneys that they have over there,
right now,
it's my understanding, I don't know who they all are, that they have actually worked for the energy companies, and they have a vast knowledge of how all this works. So I would fully expect that they're going to be the ones that are preparing the document.
Okay, and my last question would be is, as we watch this kind of play out the last month, we've seen document, then a document pull back, a new document come out, document, new document. Kind of they already have a little bit of legislative interference and utility interference. Are we going to be, should we trust the outcome of this product?
Well, I've looked into that, and I'm going to say that we can trust it. There's another way that we could go that I can discuss in here, because I've researched that, but I think that we fully trust that. What I would want this body just to remember is that we can also, I hate to say force that truth, but we could verify that truth if we so desired, because this body does have the ability to put people under sworn testimony. So we could place people under sworn testimony just to make sure, you know, make them state on the record under penalty that there was no outside influence. I'm not suggesting we do that, but I am saying that that is a tool that's available to us if this body was to go that way. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Anyone wish to speak against or for the motion? Senator, you are recognized to close on your motion.
I'm closed, and if it passes, I want a moment of personal privilege to say one more thing.
Okay.
Point of order.
Yes, Senator Flowers, you're recognized.
Would you repeat the motion?
Thank you, Senator Flowers. I should have asked for that myself to ensure that the body has clarity on what the motion is. So thank you, Senator Flowers. Senator Hickey, would you mind to repeat the motion?
Yes, Senator Flowers. Can you hear me, ma'am? Okay. The motion is the Arkansas Senate requests that the PSC, Public Service Commission, of course, to give an analysis and recommended language in regards to SB 307 by Monday, 9 a.m., March 10th, 2025. These recommendations should include, but are not limited to, the following: how to best allow this CWIP, which will provide an adequate protection to protections to ratepayers, while also providing the expediency to maintain and efficiently expand our energy generation. How to require definitions as to what should be considered as a strategic investment and allowed under this rider. Any recommendations on how to quickly determine the feasibility of projects and whether they are providing a positive cost benefit to the state of Arkansas. Any recommendation on how to structure any additional aspects of the bill which the PSC may deem problematic. And then the final thing was the request for Chairman Webb to establish and provide an environment in preparing this document in a way which is free from outside influence from the legislative branch, the executive branch, any utilities, any industry, or any other party who may have a vested interest in this bill.
Senator Hickey, would you entertain another question?
Yes, ma'am, happily.
Senator Hammer, you're recognized for another question.
Thank you, Madam Governor. I would respectfully request that if this goes through, would you mind having that typed up so we can have it distributed? And I'm not sure if that's going to be recorded in the record or how, but I'd like to have a hard copy just so we can follow along, if you don't mind, later.
Yes, sir. It was done on my phone, so it's...
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Senator Petty, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a clarification on one of the items, and it was dealing with that they deem, and I can't remember exactly how you do it. Which they deem problematic.
Yes.
Is that, I mean, that seems awfully broad.
It is, but I'm doing that for a reason, because the bill itself being 60-something pages, I just want to know that if we're going to do this analysis in this thing, that we are totally complete. So if they see something in there that they believe is some type of contradiction or something of that nature, that this will give them the latitude to do that.
So it's they deem problematic with the bill, not with a hypothetical power plant or whatever.
Oh, most definitely. Yes, sir. Because everything here is in regards to SB 307, which is in the very top line of the motion.
Okay.
Good point.
Any other questions? You all have heard the motion. Anyone wish to speak against or for? Senator, I believe you have closed. Senator has closed. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Senator Hickey, you're recognized for a minute.
Okay, thank you. Members, I appreciate that. One thing further, and I didn't want to include this in the motion today, because I want to give you all the opportunity to think about this as a body. Senator Hester would have to be heavily involved in this also, being pro tem. We've done this in the past, but we only usually do it for what I would call high impact bills. And again, as I keep stating, I think that this bill of Senator Dismang's is probably one of the largest that we've dealt with since I've probably been here. Again, I keep wrestling with, well, was Medicaid expansion bigger or this? This one may have potential to be that way. So what I want you all to be thinking about and considering, again, Senator Hester, this will be up to you, is that after we get these recommendations, that we start hearing this as a body on the Senate floor in a committee of the whole. That way we can, if somebody were to want somebody to come and provide testimony, sworn testimony, or whatever it may take, we can do that. And we'll be able to move quickly on this bill, because it is large, and we understand that it's got to get through the House and also through the governor's office. And I just think that that's going to be the most prudent and efficient way to handle a bill of this size. So again, I'm not making that thing. That is just food for thought for you all to think about over the weekend, and then so that you're not blindsided. Thank you for that.
Senator Davis, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, the class and comp bill, Senate Bill 392, was referred to state agencies. That traditionally always goes to joint budget, where we deal with it in personnel, and then joint budget before coming here to our floor. So I'd like to make a motion at this time to take Senate Bill 392 out of state agencies and re-refer it to joint budget.
Thank you, Senator Davis. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay. We are passing over Senate Bill 183. We will now take up Senate Bill 189. Senator Clark.
Senate Bill 189 by Senator Clark to authorize Ivermectin for human use to be sold without a prescription or consultation with a healthcare professional.
Senator Clark, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Governor. Thank you, colleagues. Senate Bill 189 allows for over-the-counter sale of ivermectin. I'm not going to tell you that ivermectin can't be dangerous, but according to the numbers we've looked at, over a 20-month period, 6 people in the world died from ivermectin, compared to 500 a year in the U.S. Tylenol, 3,000 from aspirin, 16,000 from ibuprofen. And right now, a lot of people, if not the majority of people, are going to the ag store and getting something that is much more concentrated. And if they can't do the math or don't know to do the math, it is dangerous. And so being able just to do the pills will make the public safer, and will catch up to what people are actually doing. Be happy to take any questions.
Questions for Senator Clark? I see Senator Gilmore. You're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Madam Governor. Senator Clark, thank you. Just quick question on this, because I looked at it and I didn't see it. Is there any sort of stipulation on dosage, anything like that? I mean, is this going to be limited to certain dosages? Do you know?
As far as I know, no, there is no limited dosage. I started to answer it with something I don't know, so there is no limit. I only know of one dosage, but as with many things, like Tylenol, you get prescription. There could be higher doses. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was asking. I didn't know if this was like a set dose that is part of, that's standard with this particular medication. I know with, Tylenol or some of those, there is a standard dosage, and then anything beyond that is a prescription. So thank you for trying to answer my question.
Thank you for the question.
Senator Tucker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. And really the same issue that Senator Gilmore was just raising, and you addressed this, but why is it going to be a smaller dose if this bill passes? Because as a practical matter, they would sell a different dose for humans than horses? Well, just help me understand. Even though I know
no, that's just factual. The pills that I know of, the one dose that I know of, is a dose, and I think it's 2 pills at a time that is for humans. What you buy at the ag store is more concentrated, and it's for cows and dogs and et cetera. And so it would be much safer that people are using the pills than using that from the ag store. And it doesn't, and it being for ag, it doesn't have as tight of rules on the mixture and that it's the same throughout. So in every way, what's made for humans would be better than that which is made for agriculture.
Okay, so the amount that would be used for humans, is that FDA approved?
The amount that's used for humans?
Yes.
I would assume so, yes. That's.
Okay. And there are, can you explain what the health benefits are? Or do you know? I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to.
Senator Tucker, there's, I have never been one to jump on the bandwagon of using anything. Yeah. I've never used ivermectin. The fact is, lots of people are. One of the best oncologists I know, who's retired and has late-stage cancer, is taking it. I can't tell you whether he's taking it because he thinks it helps or because it doesn't do any harm. But he's a very intelligent guy. In committee, I talked about the study in Argentina that came out in 2021 that got buried with Google and Facebook censorship and media censorship, where they had a control and experimental group of 117 on one side, 92 on the other. They gave it as a prophylactic, an experimental prophylactic. 77% of the folks who got it were healthcare workers who worked directly with COVID patients. Of the 112 that took COVID, 2 pills once a week, 4 got COVID, and it was moderate. Of the 117 who got the placebo, 25 got COVID, 15 were mild, 7 were moderate, and 3 were serious. There's lots of studies, and that's not about, does it help you with, does it help with COVID? There's people here who have used it in this chamber who think that it does. I don't know, but I do know that study from Argentina.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Hickey and then Senator Hammer.
And if you said this, I apologize because I wasn't focused like I should have been. Just on this particular, by doing this, are there any contradictions that you know of, or is there a website, with other drugs? My what I wonder is there, you know, if something was to be negatively, like if you take some blood pressure medicine and you start taking this, how they might react with each other. Do we know if there's anything?
You mean like if you take Tylenol and whiskey?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I didn't know. I guess there's been a lot of studies as far as what Tylenol, how it might interact or not interact with certain blood pressures or any type of, you know, diabetes, any type of other medicine. I'm wondering if there have been any studies.
There have been.
Okay.
I've done fairly exhaustive research, but I don't remember it all. But there have been, and like I said, I'm not going to tell you that ivermectin can't be dangerous anymore, and I tell you aspirin isn't dangerous because it can be. But compared to aspirin, it doesn't seem to be very dangerous.
Okay, so we don't know if there, I mean, which I know people may not do that. We don't know if there's a website that's available out there that if somebody wanted to say, well, if I take ivermectin, you know, you don't need to be taking ABC blood pressure medicine because there is a contradiction there. That's my worry. You know, if those studies hadn't been done.
Maybe Senator Boyd can answer that question.
All right, thank you, sir.
Like there is a
Senator Hammer, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Clark, my question, and I just don't know, so I'm asking, currently, are there drug manufacturers that are producing ivermectin that's going to align with the bill so that this would open up the market for it to be able to be distributed? And I just don't know, so I'm asking, do you know?
Yes, absolutely. It is available by prescription now. Lots of people get it prescribed besides the ones that go to the ag store. And I should have mentioned Tennessee passed this bill 2 years ago.
Okay, thanks.
Senator Gilmore, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. And again, I apologize. I meant to read this bill because I've heard it was coming and I neglected to do so. That's why I'm asking these questions. So bear with me if you don't mind. So I think one of the questions I have is sort of going back to what Senator Hickey posed in the sense of, are there going to be any guidelines? Because again, I don't know that I'm against this bill. In fact, I may be very much for it, but I'd like to know its usage, how it will be used, and are we going to offer any sort of guidelines? Is there any sort of regulatory oversight from whatever the maybe, I don't know if it's the pharmacy board or whoever it might be to provide some guidance, because I know there's been a lot of people use it. I don't know of any negative effects from people using it. I haven't heard of them per se, but again, I'm not a healthcare expert. Do you have any thoughts on that?
We're removing it from oversight when we make it over the counter. We will probably have some pharmacists testify in the House committee. There are pharmacists who think this is an extremely good idea, and there's some doctors, and the doctors can't testify. They would lose their malpractice insurance if they testify. So, and there's others who think it's crazy. And of course, they thought people who took it and lived during COVID were crazy too.
Yeah, so just a quick follow-up, if I may. I may. So I guess my question on that is, this is the human version of this, just for clarity's sake.
Yes, you can go to the ag store right now and buy whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can get the horse paste.
Senator Tucker, you're recognized.
Not even a
Thank you, Madam President. Again, thank you, Senator. Same boat as Senator Gilmore, just trying to work my way through this. Is there another, I don't know if I should call it a medication or whatever, let's just call it a medication for the purpose of this conversation. Is there another medication that we have passed a bill like this for that's in the code that's specifically authorized through legislation?
Other than marijuana, I don't know of any.
Okay. And so then the follow-up is, why do we need this? Why do we need this law for it to be authorized? And we don't have this for Tylenol or Advil or ibuprofen or acetaminophen or whatever.
This is law catching up to reality. What's going on? 8 other states have filed this bill since we did. And like I said, Tennessee's already doing it. Lots of people are using it and think that it helps with some things. Again, I'm a skeptic, and I would always be careful of what I put into my body, whether it be ivermectin or raw milk or oysters. The latter two I do, but I have never taken ivermectin. But I had COVID. Turned out that it wasn't the flu. I had COVID 2 or 3 weeks ago, and probably would have taken it had I had it available to find out if it actually helped or not.
Okay. So the different way of asking that question is it currently illegal to take it in human doses in Arkansas right now?
Oh, no. No, it is a prescription drug that your doctor can prescribe, and lots of doctors do, and a few doctors did during COVID. It was hard to find those doctors, but there are at least several doctors that prescribed ivermectin now. Okay. It costs about $4.20 a pill.
Okay. So I know since my first question to you, I've looked up the answer to this question. The FDA has approved it for ringworms and things like that, but
and it would help with that. It doesn't. Yeah. It does in third world countries. It definitely will take care of parasites.
So, as of now, it's prescription only for those by a doctor, and so that's what you're changing with.
That's what only thing we're changing is making what is prescription over the counter.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Hammer, did you have another question?
I do, Madam Chair.
You are recognized.
Governor, thank you. Senator Clark, go back to the days when we were sitting in the committee meetings in the heat of the battle, when all this was going on. Fact or fiction that some pharmacists were not being allowed to fill the prescription, or they were under extreme pressure not to fill the prescription for ivermectin? Do you remember that?
I remember that. That's absolutely true. Not to mention all the families who called, whose loved ones were dying and who wanted to try ivermectin, which wasn't dangerous, and doctors and hospitals wouldn't let them.
And maybe Senator Boyd can answer this if he wants to when he comes behind. I won't get back up and ask it. And that is, as far as the pharmacists having pressure put on them not to fill.
The ACLU sued a prison doctor for ivermectin. They're saving their lives. Make another bill and do that. Real simple. That. Same thing over and over again. Over the. Hopefully, the last discussion and debate on this thing. How many calls are voice instead of I don't. On the horse face, it gives the pounds that you're supposed to.
It makes a statement, this bill does. Will this all of a sudden appear at Walmart or Walgreens on the shelf? No, because that is an FDA determination as how it's packaged by the manufacturer of the medication and how it would be packaged and then being able to marketed and sold and placed onto those shelves that we're talking about. So just so that everybody's really clear, just because we pass this bill does not mean that's going to automatically happen. So I think I just want to reemphasize what Senator Boyd said. But secondly, I want to also talk about what Senator Stubblefield said. When COVID was introduced into this world, there were many, many doctors, pharmacists, and individuals who understood the makeup of a virus, looked at that virus and how that virus was constructed and how the virus was constructed. The reason why it was called coronavirus is because the construct of that cell, of that virus, it has spikes which resemble a crown, coronavirus. And so there are other types of viruses in the world that are constructed in that same fashion. Doctors had to do the math, do the science, and figure out what drugs were available that were being utilized to combat those other types of coronaviruses that were constructed in the same way. There was not a single identified medication at the time to be able to treat COVID, coronavirus, in its form. So what brings me to this statement is that there were doctors doing this because that's all they had. They had to rely on their education. They had to rely on their experience of treating these different viruses, using the medications that were available to them. And many of them had to develop a cocktail of sorts of different types of medications, depending on what their patients were presenting at the time, and studying and understanding the structure of that virus, which was available online, actually. So the reason I say this is that the reason why a lot of people could not obtain ivermectin or other medications was because their insurance companies denied the ability to pay for that. So a lot of doctors, pharmacists couldn't maybe fill the prescriptions, but it was because of what was authorized to be paid for or not. There was a case actually in Washington County in the jail where the doctor actually tried to give this and prescribe, got in trouble for it, for prescribing ivermectin in Washington County Jail. That doctor got in trouble for actually prescribing ivermectin, which was ridiculous and wrong in my opinion, because that doctor was just doing what all other doctors were trying to do at that time in order to save patients' lives. So I want to just frame that and speak to that. I am going to support the bill. I just want to make sure that the public knows that if this bill goes through and passes and is signed into law, it's not going to all of a sudden appear on the shelves and packaged for human consumption.
Yeah, you got to get it. You got to get it.
I appreciate the statement and the preemption part, what Senator Boyd talked about. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak against or for? Seeing no other, Senator Clark, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, Madam Governor. Thank you, Senator Boyd. Thank you, Senator Ervin. I've been asked many times on this bill, can we overrule the federal government? And what Senator Ervin and Senator Boyd have said are correct. What is also correct is we license people to grow marijuana. We license people to sell marijuana. The doctors' medical associations allow doctors to prescribe marijuana, which as far as I know, and it's not just as far as I know, I do know that it's still, is it class 1? Well, doctors are though. Yeah, but anyway, it was a state law, right? So the question of whether we can or shouldn't, I know the constitutional answer to that. I also know what we do with marijuana in this state. And as Senator Boyd said and Senator Ervin said, and I haven't said, partially we are making a statement. Tennessee made a statement. We're making a statement. Texas is right behind us. Actually, they're about eighth in a row behind other states that are saying to the feds, you need to catch up. And you need to get on board with what's actually happening out here, especially when people are going to the ag store every day across this state and if they don't know what they're doing, putting themselves in danger. Where when you pick up that ibuprofen bottle, where 16,000 people die a year in this country, it tells you this is the dosage. This is what you're supposed to take. And the ag store doesn't. And so what we're trying to do is not just make a statement to the feds, but we're also trying to make people safer. Once this law passes, if we can follow it, people will be safer than they are now. And I don't know how we can ask for better than that. I would appreciate a good vote.
Okay, they're finally about to vote on this.
Senator has closed. Any objection to rolling the vote? Madam Secretary, you are recognized to announce pairs at the desk.
We have a pair on Senate Bill number 189, Senator Dotson, yes. Senator Letting, no.
Without objection, Madam Secretary, please roll the vote.
Let me pick up the studio here.
Boyd, Bryant, Caldwell, Clark, Crowell, Davis, Dees, Dismang, Dotson, English, Flippo, Flowers, Gilmore, Hammer, Hester, Hickey, Hill, Irvin, Blake Johnson, Mark Johnson, King, Letting, no, Love, McKee, Murdoch, Payton, Penzo, Petty, Rice, Scott, Stone, Stubblefield, Sullivan, Tucker, Wallace.
Any senator wish to change his or her vote? Senator Tucker, no. Senator Murdoch, no. Any other senator? Seeing no other, please cast up the ballot. By a vote of 31 yea, 4 nay, Senate Bill 189 passes. Please transmit to the House.
Overwhelming support. Great.
Recognized for
Senator Clark, you're recognized.
An announcement and a point of personal privilege. The announcement is any of you, because some of you have told me that are not a sponsor on this bill who would like to be, I'm going to amend it one more time in House Committee for anybody who would like to be a sponsor, so let me know afterwards. And also we had questions that were texted in. I am not drinking ivermectin. As I said earlier, I've never had ivermectin, but it's a great container to drink out of.
Thank you, Senator Clark, for clarification.
So there's the final vote.
Senate Bill 219.
Senate Bill 219 by Senator Dismang to repeal the sunset provision of the Arkansas.
Okay, so they are working on some marijuana bill, but there's the final vote, folks. 32-3. These three are Democrats, but even there were some other Democrats who voted for this too. Love is Democrat. And all the Republicans voted for this. And so it looks overwhelmingly to pass. And this is because of pressure put on by we the people to make sure that this stuff gets done, that we say no to the big pharma agenda that blocked ivermectin when it first came out, and the media outlets that are bought by Pfizer that slandered this drug, which works. But that's about it, folks. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. This will become a video that you can share with others. This is a debate on SB 189. I missed some of it due to some other things I was taking care of, but as of now, it looks like it's going to go for the House, and it looks like it should pass without any sabotage from the globalists that have harmed some other good bills in the legislature. But anyway, that's about it. Remember, when the wicked rule, the people groan. We have a long way to go to fixing things in Arkansas. The Republican Party of Arkansas is still hijacked by globalists who hate conservatives, who want conservatives to give up and not get involved. There are 3rd and 4th district meetings happening this Saturday, and I believe the 1st and 2nd district is meeting on the 15th. There's lots of other bills being debated right now, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and end this. You all have a great day. Find a way to get involved.